friends. I'm so at a loss to share, to know what to say. When you don't know what's going on, I wonder how much good it does to share what you don't know. Things are okay here. There's just more and more of a breakdown of who I thought I was. And it's like there's ever more uncertainty on that front. On the heart front, how can things be anything but perfect, you know? I mean, that's also the reality at the same time. And so it's just a really strange space I occupy. So I think I'll just share this. I think this is the last journal from July. It was on the 31st, and the Mayan day was 5 wind, so it was pretty much in the middle of the Mayan cycle. All right, where was I? On the 31st. Thought about doing a live journal, but am too high. Would be too many long pauses. Just finished watching Adyashanti's Cafe Dharma radio program via video. Yeah, go figure. Anyway, it's free. Oh, and there's one tonight. And so it's so often a real joy, as it was tonight. Third eye is just humming too. Everything feels really good. If you want to watch that live, you can, and it's free. Later on, if you want to watch it, they'll charge you $10 or whatever. So I think his website is called Cafe Dharma, Dharma. I don't know if this will work, sharing this way at this time. We'll soon see. Sometimes, well, for some of us often, you reach a point where there's just nothing to say. Then, if anything gets said, well, it's likely Source doing that, because you're in no shape to say anything. Kind of like now. And now. Oh, Lordy. What came to me is to come to the journal to inquire into just one question. What is important? Simple though it sounds, well, the mind wants to overly complicate things. Oh well, be right back. Okay, not sure where I was. Oh, what is important? And how the mind wants to overly complicate things, so let's all get down into heart right from the start. Then we're more likely to stick together in this. Hey, maybe you'll get a contact high even, that'd be fun. As usual, we start with identity. So, important to whom? Just who is it that's inquiring here? Mind does not have the particular key card or access pass to get where we're going, so we'll set that aside. And you know, mind would have its own ideas about what's important, but that's not close enough to your core. It's not real, ultimately. The body, well, that's way too temporary to hold the deep answers, so we'll set that aside too. And of course, the body would have its own ideas about what's important. Now, not that the body isn't awesomely deep, for it is. It's just that that's another inquiry for another time. So, Hopefully, we're both narrowing it down sufficiently and also broadening it out well beyond anything manifest in 3D. Our ticket is stamped for higher dimensions than that, so as I said, stick with heart to take the trip. By now, I'm sure you've at least heard that you're divine. And that wouldn't be the body, and that wouldn't be the mind, that would be you. But what have you done with it? Have you given it any time, any meditation or pondering to see where it takes you? Most of us have touched down into this divinity at least a time or two in our life, often by surprise. The mind may not have put it together that way, that you were experiencing your divine nature. But when you look back, it can often be seen to be the case. Well, let's make contact with that, with the divine one that we all are. Lay all thoughts to the side. You can put them on the table to your left as you enter the door on your way into heart. They'll be there when you return, so don't worry, you're not losing anything. And then again, you may not want them, or not want them all when you return, but you can deal with that then. No thoughts. Well, not necessarily, just no paying attention to thoughts, that's all. If you catch the self caught up, following some train of thought or another, just let go by putting your attention back in your chest. It's pretty easy to master, at least for short times, and then once you've got that, well, the longer times will come too. It's not so tough. You are divine. That means, by the way, that whatever troubles you perceive, you are their creator. Don't let mind toy with this one. It just chases its tail. If you'll just stick with your divine nature, it won't seem so very strange. Actually, you'll just know that it's true. We all have a touch point within for real truth. And it's a feeling, it just syncs up. You use thought to create. Put enough thoughts together on the same track and pretty soon you've created or accepted a belief. And these are your master tools, thoughts and beliefs. They produce after their own kind, guaranteed. Until you can come to accept this, you haven't yet taken the full measure of your power back on this trip. Thoughts create. Just look at any building. Don't the architect's plans come first? And don't they appear first in someone's mind? It's very natural. I found that self-observation is really my friend here, as it helps me be more aware of my thoughts. As we begin to exert our divine will, or allow our divine will to take over in this area, that's more accurate, our life begins to shape up into something more pleasing to the real self. We quit creating unconsciously, in other words. We begin to show our responsibility to own our life. It's really cool. Okay, you are divine and thoughts create, and you have the power, or can reclaim the power, to reclaim your life. Now, what is important to you? To this you that's divine. Do you know? What really and truly matters to this one? What's the heart and soul of this? What really counts? Now, we'll all have different answers, no doubt, and that's fine. I don't know how this works for you, but for me, there's nothing solid, nothing 3D in the answer. Instead, there's everything. I don't find that you sort and separate things out once you get down into this depth. Yet, every answer I come up with somehow includes everyone and everything. Let's see if I can expand on that. I don't want to just say, it's all one, because that's too philosophical. Maybe true, but it's not enough of an answer. Let's just say that being God or being Source is what's important to me, to enable the fullness of that divinity to manifest right where I am. Now, how does that include everything? Truly, I have to trust Source for the words here. It seems way too deep. What I find Source to be experientially is a divine compassion, is a love that has no conditions at all, that no one has to earn. It's just given. It just shines like the sun in all ways at all times, with no thought or restriction. So, I'm just as capable of shedding tears over the life of a bug as I am a pet or a person. I'm just open and available to all of life as that love. So while it doesn't focus on anyone, on anything in particular, yet it includes all of them anyway. Hey, I guess that came out all right. When you feel it, it's just so awesomely amazing that you don't see how any words could convey it. But Source isn't limited like that. The more we learn not to trust our thoughts, the more open we'll be to have Source come in on that flow. We don't have to worry about our ability to do or say anything. Source has our back. I tend to be way out there with most things, and that's the real me. I like things really huge and unlimited. Yet, it's just as possible to start there than to narrow it down. The big things are great, but so are the little ones. Yet in the little ones, what I find is those big things in action. Take the bugs. I've shared with you before how I use a drink coaster and a glass as my critter capture cup. I wonder if you're aware of the real compassion you can feel even for the bugs. We all tend to feel it for the bigger things, the deer, the cats, the dogs, and the like, but what about the little things? Those that don't make a sound when they get hurt. For some strange reason, the other day I reached down, I've got my slippers here all the time, I run around barefooted, and for whatever reason, I reached down, picked up my slipper, and kind of tapped it on the floor, and out fell a centipede. So I captured it in my little cup, and I set it down, and I got distracted. And I realized the next day, the feeling that I had when I realized I hadn't released the little guy and he'd spent his whole night in that cup that way, I felt really bad. And that was the first thing I did, was go and take him outdoors and let him go. What about getting down to the level of the cells in your body? They're sentient, They won't be able to take in the fullness of who you are, but they will interact with you. They do all the time. We're just not normally aware of it. So, we can interact with them consciously too. And why not? To heck with this living life in the unconscious mode, huh? Let's wake up. Don't look for practical uses of this. That would be mind. Doing a this to get a that. Stick with heart. This isn't mind stuff. When you stick with heart, this can take you for quite a ride for this same depth of love and compassion abides right there where you are. We're no different, Or if you didn't know consciously, then now you do. We're the same. It takes sticking really closely to heart. It takes letting that speak. Meanwhile, ignoring all mind has to say on this, at least for short periods, That may be or sound a bit extreme, especially if you're new to this stuff, but it isn't. Not really. I don't know who said it, but it's true. What man has done, man can do. Of course, that includes women. If it's been done, then it's doable. Like the 4-minute mile. Do you see how it was people not knowing, not believing it could be done, that prevented anyone from achieving that for so very long? Their bodies are no different than ours. Probably healthier, actually. Less chemicals in the food, water, and air back then. Yet it's fairly recently that that speed was accomplished. What does that say about mind, about thought? Almost as soon as the record was broken, the 4-minute mile was attained, it was broken again, and again, and again. Once we accepted that it could be done, the gate was wide open, and that what was once an unattainable goal became the new standard in a way. Pretty soon it wasn't that big a deal anymore. Well, let's learn from that. Putting it deeply into our awareness as we continue the programming, reprogramming of mind. We've got to let go to erase all the limits at some point. We can either wait until we cross over to realize that no limits are true, or we can be about it right now. And I say, why not? What limits have you allowed to be placed on you, on your particular incarnation? To what limits do you bow down in submission? What ones would you like to erase? As source, you won't likely dump them all at the same time. Why not? You have self-compassion too, You wouldn't want to totally overwhelm the mind, so you let heart prioritize them. What is it you don't like to see in the world? Is it racism? How about poverty? What really gets your goat? Those things bother you the most because they represent something within that could use a good dose of self-observation. That botheration is your signal that something inside doesn't sit quite right. And if you keep watching self from heart, you're quite likely to get a handle on just what it is. Remember, friends, we're projecting the world. It's our creation. Stick with heart now. You are divine. So of course you're projecting the world, creating that. Don't let mind have its say-so just yet. Ignore it for now. Remember, you can pick all that stuff up later. For now, take the adventure. Stay with heart. We'll find out what heart has to say on such things. When mind is in full fettle, when it's running things, you don't hear from heart, not much. Just as the various scriptures around the world tell us, the voice of spirit, of source, is quiet, is soft. We have to be still to actually tune in to hear it at all. Internally still. So, now that we're down in here pretty deep, what's really important to the Divine One, you are. What does your deep inner self truly care about? What rings your chimes with greatest joy? What touches you with the deepest compassion? What just feels really right on to you? What really and truly counts? And you can push pause if you like, or just take a break and ponder, since you're pretty deep in right now. It could be productive. You can kiss the world's goods goodbye when you cross over and leave the body behind. And sure, maybe this time we'll break all the records again and take these bodies along for the ride. It's been done. But let's just look at the way we've done it before. There's not a single thing you will take with you from Earth. So, what do you take on that ride? What goes with you to the other side? What really counts? One really good way to help you tune in or stay tuned into this is by watching people share their NDE, their near-death experience stories, to see how the experience changed them. And this helps you go really deep, because they go really deep in their sharing, and you can tune into that. Let's all get to know this deep inner self better. Most of us don't know it well at all, though some do. There's no need to wait for the NDE or for bodily death to arrive to wake up to this stuff. Now is the time, and it's all spread out on the open table for us to explore, if only we'll find our way into heart. We can wake up now. Waking up is a hugely big perspective shift. Well, what's stopping us from shifting right now? I say nothing at all. Well, nothing except our loyalty to mind, our habits of thought, our beliefs. Yet, by waking up, first of all, to just who we are, that we are divine, the rest of the pieces begin to just fall into place. And that's a big move, taking your rightful identity back. Takes a good bit of reprogramming, since it seems school and growing up somehow inoculated us against any idea of being divine. We were taught more or less the opposite, so there are many old beliefs we took on innocently that we now might want to remove. Do it whatever way you will, but by becoming self-observant and reclaiming your divine identity, you're more than halfway there, it seems to me. It's like one of those huge domino spreads where you flick just one and the rest of them all begin to fall down in perfect order. The first one you flick, that's to reclaim your divine nature, your source identity. That's the one that gets the ball rolling. Then it's a matter of paying attention so that you'll know what's going on as the others begin to fall. And your job is just to get out of the way and to let them fall. It won't be like in the movies, necessarily, where it's all pretty and smooth. Oh no. This is beliefs we're talking about, and we're not even fully conscious of all of our beliefs. So it takes paying attention to watch and help them tumble over when it's their turn. Being alert. It feels uncomfortable. That's maybe your first hint that a belief is getting ready or is ready to topple. Your help is required for a lot of them. Until you can see and identify what belief it is and make that conscious choice to let it go, it won't fall down. It may teeter and topple a bit, but to get it to fall, the best way is to consciously identify it and then just let it go. You don't have to know what to replace it with. It doesn't matter. That just gives you a little bit more emptiness, more room to spread your wings. I'd say it's time, past time, to make friends with discomfort. For too long, that's been something we've all tried to avoid. Some of us at any cost, even. Everyone just wants wealth and comfort and ease and love, and never considering very deeply just what is acting there and just who it is that wants all that stuff. One thing's for certain, that's not the real you, the divine one that you are. Oh no. But that's got to be seen and identified, you see? Until you step back away from that one doing all such wanting in your life, you'll remain stuck. Everything has consequences, and when you indulge the lesser self, then you get lesser self type consequences. It's not that life is mean or wants to punish you. No way. It wants to wake you the hell up. But mostly our interpretation is off. And so we run from discomfort and chase the almighty buck. Or dinar or euro or whatever. Now, how would your life shift and change if you made friends with discomfort for a change? Now stay in heart. Some of you went out at the mention of wealth. Stay in heart. What would that look like, feel like, act like if you quit running from discomfort? What would change? You feeling froggy? It's there for you. If you are, give it a go. Start looking twice at discomfort before you reject it in favor of Oprah or the latest movie or video game or phone call or whatever distraction comes to hand, and they will. What if, instead, you chose to stick with heart? What would it all look like then? Do you know? Want to give it a go? What if you could begin to see how, at the very heart and core of that discomfort, is the great love of Source for your soul? What if you could tune into that, could see it so very differently? What then? What if you started to tune in like that, to begin to see everything in a new way? All it takes is a crazy strong commitment to sticking with heart. Once you develop that habit, then all of this that I share here won't seem so very strange. Heck, maybe it doesn't seem that strange even now. To some of you, I know it doesn't. Here's what is there for you to discover. Life is in love with you. I'll say it again. Life, capital L, is in love, capital L, with you. Capital Y or not. Got that? Come on now. You are Source. You are the divine. Do you think life doesn't know, can't see that? Of course it can, and it wants to serve and please you in every possible way. Actually, it's been doing that all along, but it's rather like the invisibles, the light beings, the soul family that's been working with and serving us all along. And we've been quite oblivious to it all, most of us. Well, that was then. This is now. And it can all change in an instant, in a nanosecond. You are Source. Make a decision, and so it is. Things change, just like that. Yet, and it's a big yet, you've got to stick with heart. The minute you start listening to mind when it chimes in is potentially the minute you go down. Your vibration falls when you do that, that's all. But it takes you out of the range of that very important, very quiet, still, small voice. So stick with heart. To the extent you choose to do this, you're the winner. Now, those words won't even make any sense to you once you do. In the realization that's dawning, you'll see how there are no winners because there are no possible losers. How can there be when all are one and the same? There aren't billions of gods running around, just the one, just Source, dividing itself up, seemingly, into billions of angels, angles, billions of points of view, the better to see and experience 3D life. So you can at least try it out as a hypothesis that life loves you. While that's not the highest way, since it tends to invite mind and judgment, still, it can work. It can work if you can find your way into heart. And my friend, since you're actually Source, there's simply nothing at all that you can't do. And I'm going to attach to this one a link to someone reading Book 1 of Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East to help those who want to enter in to this anything is possible reality. So, it's choice time once again. Choices, choices. That's what it's all about. That's just how we've created this life we're living now, by the trillions of choices we've made along the way, by every thought we ever entertained. Yet, just as easily as we made them, we can make new ones now. And now. And now. You get the idea. It's that whole thing with putting on the brakes in the car going 5 miles an hour versus the one going 105. Big difference, yet both can be stopped. Clearly, though, things that have a big momentum behind them, and many of our momentums carry over from previous lives, they take longer to shift. That's all. No big deal. It only becomes a big deal when we listen to mind. Mind will be looking and saying, see, there's no change. That doesn't work. Try something else. Obviously, that heart stuff is false. Well, that's called doubt. And we've all heard that we can get mountains to move, but not in the presence of doubt. I'd say if you're feeling froggy, that you've got your leap set out for you here. One way or another, determined to have lots of fun with it. Keep remembering again and again who you are. I am Source. Let that be your mantra, or I am divine, or one that you choose. Just claim the divine as your new/old identity. It's who you really are anyway, and it takes knowing this to really give you the juice it takes to work these miracles that are all around, just waiting to happen. They are waiting for us. So, whenever we're ready, let's get this show on the road. If the new dawning age is coming in, it's because we're here to make that happen. It's not something you wait for, it's something you participate in. The journey's the point. There's no end. So, let's shift those old attitudes, beliefs, and habits. Right out the door, down the stairs, into the incinerator for most of them. You might even want to work with some visuals like that one, that image. Take whatever belief or habit it is, label it, put it in a box, tie it up with a string or a bow, or use packing tape, whatever. Walk it down the stairs and straight into the big blazing fire pit that's right there, waiting to convert it into pure energy, to erase it from your life. It's an exercise of your will. Whatever it takes, whatever works best for you, my friends. You know the basics of this stuff, but the details of how it works are totally up to you, as long as you do 2 things you can't go wrong. Know you are divine, stick to heart. As long as you stubbornly stick to these, the outcome it can be nothing less than awesome. Oh, and one more thing. Please don't be in a rush. That would be mind every time. Let go of the future entirely, nor as entirely as you can. Don't forget my main motto or mantra, self, and now here in heart. There's no future in there, nor any past. And you'd be surprised what just eliminating those two will do for you. They're just a misperception anyway. Give it a go, then come back and comment so that all the others can know what you found out. Future and past, the way we perceive them in 3D, it's purely mind stuff. No matter how strongly mind has been programmed, time just doesn't exist that way, the way mind believes that it does. This work is not for sissies, by the way. It will weed them out, since encounters with a mind determine that the future and past are real and absolutely deserve your attention. Well, it can be a challenge, let's say, but one you can also enjoy. Be in charge of your life. Why not? Namaste.